again. And it's funny, normally I don't have other people on my channel. Normally I'm on this chap's channel, which hopefully we've had some cross-channelization.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice you were wearing such a bright red shirt before.
I know, I don't thank you. I don't remember it being so bright when I used to wear it a lot.
So,
yeah.
This is my friend Bran. Bran runs Adult Beverages, which is a fantastic sitcom on YouTube. Great editing, by the way.
Oh yeah, no. And the editor's like fantastic.
In addition to that,
and good cam work.
Also, there's the bunch of tasting notes videos,
yeah.
Tasting beer and whiskies and things like that. So, but today you are on my channel.
I am on your channel, and I'm honored to be like Am I your first guest?
I think you are actually.
Oh, okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, and it's interesting because. So the whole reason I'm doing this video today, I was looking back about last year. Last year was one of the best years of my life, which was really weird because like it was a roller coaster ride. Bad things happened. Yeah, bad things happened and good things happened.
Yeah.
It was so weird. So I got laid off my job.
Right.
And then it was like, well, I'm making a ton of money writing, so it's not really such a big deal. And then unfortunately, obviously my brother passed away, which was terrible, but it did lead to a lot of introspection about writing. I started off the year as a fat sack of shit, and I discovered this thing called intermittent fasting, which was a huge deal and led to completely transformed my life. And I will remember there were probably like 6 or 7 weeks that were just like some of the best weeks of my life. Which when you're 40 years old, when you're 40 years old, you're saying something. I remember. Yes, dog issues there.
Alright.
Immediate. And then Tina's like whistling. So when you're 40 years old, to say like that they were some of the best weeks of your life is a pretty good thing to be able to say. And I remember it was just a really nice situation. So I was making a good amount of money writing, and my wife Tina was doing her thing, working. Every night you'd come over, we'd barbecue some food, and I was living the low carb lifestyle then. I was going to the gym every day. It was just a really good deal. And this summer, I will admit, it's all been a bit all over the place. And so it's like, in life, you get out what you put in. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe the whole reason this summer has not been as good as the last summer is because I haven't been putting in what I need to get out what I need to get out.
Right. I like how you put maybe in front of that. I would say that is an absolute truth. That like, I'd say basically nobody in life is getting something out of it that they're not putting in. With like rare exceptions, I mean, you know.
And I've been sloppy this year. I've been sloppy in terms of my intermittent fasting, I've been sloppy in terms of my diet, I've been sloppy in terms of going to the gym.
Yeah.
And it's weird because this last month I stopped being sloppy about writing and I had a prodigious success.
Right.
So it's like maybe it's time to stop being sloppy about other things as well. So one of them was, it's time to get down for 4 weeks. Like,
you're doing low carb.
I call it the James Bond lifestyle, which is completely erroneous because James Bond was all about breakfast food. He was the Ron Swanson of British secret agents. But yeah, he was very much about scrambled eggs, steak, whiskey, vodka, and stuff like that. So I was like, you know what? For 4 weeks, I'm just going to try and live life right. I'm going to work out hard. I'm going to do intermittent fasting, and I'm going to go low carb. And I'm like, I need a partner in crime for this. Somebody who's up for the same kind of insanity as me. And when I'm looking for a completely insane person who is down for my craziness, you are the first person I call.
Yeah. I rarely tell you no, but when I do, I feel like it's pretty well thought out.
Yes.
So, I would say, I rarely tell you yes without thinking it through either. So I'd say that this is a good venture.
So, today is the first day of...
Right. How did your first day go?
It actually went really... It was good. It's a really weird... Well, first, okay, before we do this, because I think I need to drink for this,
okay,
we're going to continue with the low carb lifestyle. If you're going low carb, you drink spirits. And as Ron Swanson said, clear spirits are for rich women on diets.
Right.
So,
thank you.
From our Whiskey Wednesdays, And thanks to Bran.
Yeah. Feel free to check out our review of Port Charlotte.
Yes, Port
which
Charlotte.
has not been released yet.
No, but Port Charlotte is made by Bruichladdich, which is a distillery in Islay. And
funny enough, they were actually in the whiskey book that you and Tina bought me a number of years ago.
There we go. So, the nice thing about going low carb is there are 3 types. Well, your body can thrive off glucose, which is like the bad thing, or fat, or ethanol, which is from alcohol. And ethanol doesn't make you fat. Ethanol will give you energy that will prevent you from burning fat, but it won't make you fat. So you can drink as much as you want on a low carb
Without
diet.
gaining weight.
Yes. So cheers.
Cheers.
Right. Back to my point, which I've completely forgotten. But I think my point was that it was time to make a change, live a healthy lifestyle, and it was just like with my books. With my books, it was a case of like I know what to do, and it's like there's a step-by-step process, and I don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did it, and it delivered the results I want. So I was like, you know what? I know what to do about, living the lifestyle I want. And it's a step-by-step process, so I need to do it. But it's nice to have a partner in crime.
I appreciate that. I appreciate being that partner.
Yes. So, cheers.
Cheers.
My point got away with me, so I'm hoping you'd be listening to the bullshit that I've been saying.
So I would say, like, what are you looking to get out of? I'm very big on SMART goals. So one of those is measurable. So I'd say, what is your measure for this low carb? Is it just to have? Are you looking for a certain result at the end of 4 weeks, or are you looking, like, would your measure be I want to stay under 100 grams of carbs for 4 weeks, for 28 days?
It's really interesting because I think in the past I've always focused on the outcome rather than the process. I've always been like, I'm going to spend 4 weeks and at the end of it I'm going to have lost 10 pounds or something like that.
Okay.
Whereas I'm in a very fortunate situation at the moment where it's like, I'm 168 pounds, so I'm kind of at the weight I want to be. I'm fatter than I want to be. I'm like, I don't necessarily need to lose weight. So I'm more interested in, hey, can I spend 4 weeks doing the process of eating less than 100 carbs a day,
Okay.
doing my intermittent fasting, going to the gym every day.
Right.
I think that's more my goal
Okay.
than
So that
whatever
would be
results I
your
get out of
measure.
it. Yeah.
Okay.
And what would you say in terms
What was
of...
my goal?
Yeah.
I don't know if I really have a specific goal. I guess to just, I want to get down to a weight where I think a lot of times, like, I'll look at myself on camera when we film, like, our episodes, and I'm like, man, I'm looking fat in this episode. So I want to, like, get away from, like, that, like, horror of like, looking at myself and being like, man, I did not look good. So, I mean, I don't know, I guess that's not really measurable in that sense. So I guess if you were going to put it on, well, I guess it's qualitatively measured, but it's typically look for a quantitative measure. So I guess my goal will be to stay under 100 grams for this 4 weeks. So I'll say this, we're doing 28 days, right?
Yeah.
So I'll say 4 weeks, less than 2,800 grams of carbs throughout the 4 weeks. So, like, today I would say I'm under 100, so that's a good start. And over 280,000 steps, which would be 10,000 steps a day for a month. So I would say those are my two measurable, concrete, quantitative goals.
And I think those are positive things.
Yeah. Those are definitely positive things.
So I think there are two interesting things to cover. First of all, it's like, you and I are very different body types. Not necessarily. You are husky, but you're really, really strong.
Yeah, I would say I'm built like a wrestler.
Yeah, but also you're very fit because you do like running and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been running. It's funny, like, I always, even though I don't have, like, the body of, like, somebody who typically can jump very high, I used to be able to jump very, very high. And, like, I used to be able to just standing, just jump up and, like, bring my knees up to, like, where my head was. And I think like that would be a good. Obviously, it's not happening in the next 4 weeks, but I think that would be a good goal to kind of get back to. So if I would start, if I were just gonna like focus on doing leg exercises and like deadlifts and squats, and then, after a couple of cycles of this, then see where we're at.
I think it's very good because like I'm obviously leaner than you, but then again I don't have your cardio like fitness in terms of that. I'm reasonably strong, I think, but I think it's interesting. It's like to have two people who are different running the same. I think it's something interesting to see the results after 4 weeks.
Right. Yeah, and I think that it's also like I think that I always struggle with some sort of like quantitative measure of cardio. I guess like what I would always do is like I would check to see how far I can swim underwater, like because that would be like a lung capacity thing.
Yeah.
And I would say that like when I was younger and I was like much fitter, I would be able to do like 3 laps in my parents' pool, which is like technically 120 feet underwater, but you're also like, it's not just swimming 120 feet. Like I'm swimming to the wall, pushing off like 10 feet in one direction, pushing back another 10 feet. So I would say it's like probably like 90 feet underwater if I were just going in a straight line, having that distance. Whereas now I think I can probably get to like 50. So maybe at the end of this video I'll give you an update on the swimming situation and see if I can get to what I would quantify as like 75 feet underwater.
Interesting. And so in terms of the science of the whole low carb thing, so I'm gonna, and you can interrupt because you're very pedantic, and so you can completely shoot me out of the water if I'm wrong about any point.
I'll probably interrupt you again next week after I listen to a week of you spewing stuff that I'm like, I don't know about this, and then going home and looking it up.
So I got into intermittent fasting last year because I watched a lot of videos. There's a guy, Jason Fung, who is a guy who he helps people with diabetes and type 2 diabetes, and he's big on fasting. And it turns out that fasting is when you don't eat, and the human body, we think we're meant to have 3 meals a day. And it's really weird. That is something that has only existed in popular culture within literally the last 100 years. And then if you go back like beyond that, especially if you go way back to our caveman days, cavemen and stuff would, kill a wildebeest or whatever, and eat it and feast, and then not eat for like 3 days until they killed another one.
Right.
And generally, we've lived in human beings are designed to eat at sparse periods and then have extended periods of fasting.
Yeah.
And so what happens is when you eat, especially when you eat carbs, your body releases insulin. And it's really weird, the effect the hormones have on your body's metabolism. So when your body has insulin in its system, it takes any excess glucose and fat and stores it as fat in your body. When you don't have it, the fat that's stored in your body can get sucked out from energy.
Right.
You literally cannot lose weight when you have insulin in your system. And obviously if you eat 3 meals a day, that means from breakfast, you are eating food, so you have insulin in your system. Lunch, suddenly you get more insulin in your system because you've eaten lunch. Dinner, you have more insulin in your system because you've eaten lunch. So throughout the day, you cannot lose weight. And there are people who do lose weight.
I'm sure you're inherently wrong about this, because there are people that eat all day long and still lose weight.
Well, I was going to say, there are people who eat all day long and lose weight. Why do they lose weight? It's because their body is like, wow, this person has an abundance of food all the time. We need to like lower our metabolism, lower the amount of calories we burn, because they can graze all the time. They don't need to burn as many calories as they do. And so when somebody eats all day but restricts the number of calories they eat all day, then their metabolism lowers at the same time as their body fat levels. So they do lose weight, but it's in a different process too. If you do intermittent fasting where you only eat after like 16 or 20 hours, during those 16 to 20 hours, your body's like, damn, son, you have no food in your system, you need to go and hunt a wildebeest. And it actually increases your metabolism by 15%, and there are studies that show this. And your body starts burning fat for energy rather than glucose and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you actually start like burning body fat, which you don't do when you eat throughout the day and you have insulin in your system. And then when you eat, your body's like, that's fantastic, we'll take all the carbs and we'll put them in your muscles, and we'll take the protein, we'll use those to build muscle. and stuff like that. So it's a different process, and this is why people who do intermittent fasting, even if they eat exactly the same calories as the people who split those calories up throughout the day, will lose more fat as a result.
Okay.
I didn't explain that very well, did I?
I think you're wrong, and I'm going to look this up. But
this is interesting. So the next video we do, let's have a discussion about this.
Okay.
Because I'm not wrong.
Okay. You can say that, but I mean...
It's a dangerous thing. It's like me when I look at you and go, you're not wrong. It's like, you're like, I will literally get the 6 Infinity Stones and change reality to make sure that you are wrong.
To show that you are wrong.
Yes. But, yeah, I'm very convinced that the extended period...
I think that, like, it's definitely... I mean, listen, like, fasting, you're obviously, like, if you don't have insulin in your body, you don't have fuel, like, your body has to take it from somewhere. So that's why you're definitely depleting fat storages. So that makes sense. But to say, like, you're not losing weight, you're not burning fat if you're eating all day, like, that is...
No, I mean, actually...
That's wrong. That's a wrong statement, because there are people that still eat all day long, and then will eat, multiple meals a day, and they're just calorie restricting.
No, you're absolutely right, because people do obviously lose weight on the Weight Watchers and stuff like that.
Right.
They eat meals 3 days. So you're completely right.
Right.
What I'm saying is this is a different way and a more efficient way to lose weight.
Okay.
Yeah, but no, you are absolutely right. As soon as you said that, I was like, well, from a technical perspective, I mean, if you look at the facts, I guess you would... If you look at the facts, I guess you're right, but...
Yeah. But who needs those facts?
But what I'm saying is, if you do intermittent fasting, then it's a more efficient way to lose weight.
Right, I mean, you would lose more weight through intermittent fasting because you're not eating all day. So your body's pulling that storage from fat, and then, like, yes, there's a finite number of... There's a finite volume to what your stomach can hold. So if you're only eating at one point during the day, then obviously you're not taking in as many calories.
And you're absolutely right. It's like if you are doing a calorie restricted diet and eating all day, then you have to like have a meal of 300, a meal of 300 calories, a meal of 300 calories. Whereas if you're doing intermittent fasting, you eat whatever you want, but generally because your stomach can only fit so much.
Yeah.
And it's very true. I think people...
I mean, like, I look at... Okay, so, like, my grandmother had, like, lap band surgery or something. And, like, eating with her now is absolutely disgusting because she doesn't know how to stop. So, like, she'll keep eating to the point where she'll, like, burp in this, like, disgusting, like, just absolutely vile way. And I'll look at her and I'll be like, seriously, woman, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, stop goddamn eating. It's, like, because she's, like... like she's, I mean, I don't know if it was lap band or whatever one, like, kind of cuts your, like whatever, they put the band around your stomach so that you can't fit as much food, and, like, inherently you're eating less food because you can't fit as much in your stomach, like, but that's basically what happens, is, like, you can eat to a point of, like, nausea, but that's not a good point to eat to,
Well, it's interesting. That brings me to the other thing. I think intermittent fasting is very valuable. But I think you brought up the very good point. It's like, at the end of the day, it's calories in, calories out.
Yeah.
It's if you eat all day long and you eat 2,000 calories, and you eat once a day and you eat 2,000 calories, at the end of the day, that's a net zero.
Right.
I would argue it's not a complete net zero. I think intermittent fasting will give you a slight edge, but I think at the end of the day, it is pretty much a net zero.
I mean, you can argue that, but you're, like... So basically you're saying that you would burn, like, 15% more fat. Are they measuring the calories burned by that person, or are they measuring how much weight they lost and then dividing that by 3,500? Because if they're dividing that by 3,500, then you can't say that it's 15% more calories burned. It's 15% in terms of their net.
I think it's 15% net body fat, but I mean, I'd have to show you the studies about it, but I think you're absolutely right. It's like, if you do intermittent fasting, but you eat more calories than you burn, you're still going to get fat. Yeah. Yeah. So, which is where the whole low carb thing comes into. So
the same way that I think that, like, somebody who ate, I think if there was a person who ate only 150 grams of carbs and, like, and somehow managed to not eat any protein, if they just ate, like, pasta all day long, and versus somebody who had, what is it? It's 4 grams of carbs for 4 calories per grams of carbs.
Yes.
So that would be 600 calories a day if they only ate 150 grams of carbs. So in theory, if somebody was eating 600 grams of 600 calories a day, and it was strictly all from carbs, and they were still working out and burning 12, let's say 2,000. But then you have somebody who's eating 200 grams of protein a day, and they're burning the same amount, they're not going to lose more weight.
Well, that's interesting. That gets into the next thing of like low carb versus regular carb. Because you could do, I mean, one of the reasons I like intermittent fasting is pretty much I can eat whatever the hell I want and not gain any weight as long as I restrict the eating window. But
Yeah.
when you eat carbohydrates, your body releases this hormone insulin to turn those carbohydrates into glucose, which it stores in your liver and your muscles, or turns into fat. And the whole process behind going low carb is fat doesn't release insulin, and protein, the majority of the protein gets turned into amino acids for your muscles and your organs and stuff like that. And so you have a lower amount of insulin release, which means you store less amount of fat. Except I'm not a nutritionist, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about half the time. But it is interesting because you talk about people who eat all day. There are people who go on the keto diet.
Yeah.
And they'll have breakfast, lunch and dinner that's all low carb, and they will still lose a tremendous amount of fat because their body is more adapted to using their body fat as a fuel source than glucose.
I think also people that go on keto all of a sudden, typically it coincides with more exercise.
Yeah.
I mean, diet is definitely the more important piece of that. It's harder to outwork. It's easier to change your diet and lose weight than to constantly outwork a bad diet.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think everyone would say the diet is 70%.
Yeah.
The other thing I would say is that when you have a low carb lifestyle and you eat fewer carbohydrates, I'm completely running out of exactly where I was going with this one.
I think the other thing is that in terms of volume, you can eat something that has one slice of bread has it's 22 grams of carbs. That's one slice of bread. Versus an egg has 7 grams of protein, no carbs. So if you're eating 3 eggs, I would say 3 eggs is more filling than 1 slice of toast.
Yeah.
So you're eating more food, you're just consuming less calories. And I think that's more of where it comes from than anything else. That if you're eating a huge salad where, let's say, with romaine lettuce, you're getting more nutrients, but you're not getting as many calories.
I think that's very interesting. I think it's very valid. And it's one of the things is while I was intermittent fasting, I spent a week going vegan, and I could not sustain it because vegan food is almost all carbohydrates.
Yeah.
So I was just starving by 11 o'clock the next morning.
Well, I wonder if you ate more, if you just ate peppers and just had a huge salad all the time. I find a salad very filling.
Yeah, I still think, spinach is 22% protein or something, but I still think it's to physically eat enough calories from salad is tough. That being said, I would also say that the body gets a sort of there's this thing called insulin resistance where your body gets used to burning sugar as fuel, glucose as fuel rather than fat. So I think people who are lower carb for an extended period of time, their body is used to saying, well, we use carbohydrates and glucose as our primary source of fuel, but then we will go to fat as a reserve.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have a very high carb lifestyle, it's we'll go to glucose as a primary source, and if you don't have any glucose in your system, we'll be what the fuck do we do now?
Right.
And that's why people who have poor insulin resistance and have a very high carb lifestyle tend to not be able to do intermittent fasting because they get weak and shaky and things like that very quickly. So I think that shows that there is some sense behind the logic of going protein wise because it takes longer to digest. so you don't get the hunger pangs as quickly.
Okay. I mean, I haven't done the research on this.
No, I'm just interested because you know what? It's, yeah. So, this has been an extremely long video.
Yeah.
But extremely interesting, I'm sure. But we will wrap it up. But
All right.
anyway, 4 weeks, 28 days, under 100 carbs, intermittent fasting until 5 p.m. Sounds good.
I'm down with that, yeah.
So I started off 168 pounds.
I started off, we'll say I weighed myself 235. I already lost a pound because I donated blood yesterday, so.
Is it like half a pound?
They just well no, it's like a pint of blood is a pound. Like a gallon of water weighs 8 pounds.
So the Merchant of
So
Venice,
one
wasn't it a
pint.
pound of flesh that Sherlock had to give?
In what?
The Merchant of Venice, the Shakespeare's play.
I don't know, never read that.
Oh, it's really weird. The Merchant of Venice is about a Jewish trader who did this deal to this guy. He said, I will give you this money as a load until your ships come in. If your ships don't come in, you have to give me a pound of flesh.
Okay.
And it's just interesting you say that, because and then at the very end of the play, it was all like, well, a pound of flesh, does that include blood? Does that not include blood? So when you said, like, it's a pint of blood, it's a pound, like, that's kind of interesting.
There's also the movie 7 Pounds with Will Smith where he gives up his...
Oh, I saw that. That was a good movie, actually.
Yeah.
Any movie with Will Smith is a good movie.
After Earth.
Any movie that I've seen with Will Smith.
Okay. I would say for the most part, Will Smith makes good movies.
Yeah. So, okay, we've rabbited long enough, but we will keep checking in for the time being.
We'll see you next week. We'll give you an update on our weights and...
Yeah, absolutely. Cheers.
Shall I drink finish mine already?
Oh, well, no.
Cheers.